Records don't last forever, right? I mean, I don't know how many teams are going to catch the Warriors when it comes to 28 straight series with a road playoff win. But hell, Steph Curry dropped 50 in Game 7 a couple weeks ago in Sacramento. And 2 weeks later, Jason Tatum drops 51 against Philadelphia in a Game 7. Oh, Philadelphia.
And his game, was it 6? What was the game Thursday night?
For Tatum, Game 6, the 16 in the fourth quarter.
I mean,
four threes late in the last 5 minutes.
After being
in Philly.
Awful, the whole game.
When he opened up 0 for 10 in the first half, 1 for 14, up until that
He's
point.
Awesome.
Jason Tatum, man.
I'm a big fan.
That's going to be a fun series. Celtics and Heat. Now you got everybody's making the bubble 3 years ago. They said the bubble doesn't count. Now you got the 4 teams who are in the conference finals. All these teams are completely different. The only constants are the main stars.
Yeah.
LeBron and AD.
Yeah.
Jokic and Murray. Tatum and Brown. And Jimmy Buckets. Oh, Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo.
Yeah. And
Tyler Hero's hurt.
He'll be back.
They say he's going to be back this series?
Well, they think if he can get to the end of this series, he might be able to come back. But what's-his-face is playing well. Gabe Vincent.
Playing really well.
He's another free agent. You talk about guard play. Like, he's a free agent this upcoming year. What?
The Heat have like 8 undrafted guys on their roster.
Well, they have Duncan Robinson, who was undrafted, who they signed to this big deal, and he doesn't even play.
He played a little bit, but
not what they want.
Not much, but Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, the Martin twin.
Yep.
They got so many undrafted guys. Hell, Lowry was. I don't think Lowry was drafted, or was he a second-round pick with the Rockets way back when? Could have been a second-round pick, but they got a lot of guys who had to work their way up the NBA ladder, and that goes to player development. That goes to coaching. That goes to belief in your youngsters and belief in your process. And that's why I shift gears to the Golden State Warriors to say, do they have belief in their player development? Do they have coaching to get the best out of youngsters and develop them? Now, we see Jordan Poole get developed, but he regressed. Kevon Looney has developed. They did help Curry go to another level, and Draymond go to another level, and Klay Thompson go to another level. But who else? The failure of the youngsters this year, when people write their end of the season stories or whatnot, which is all coming out today and came out over the weekend, one of the top 3 storylines in the season is the failure to develop the youngsters to get them ready for the playoffs. Because now you go to the playoffs, Poole is a shell of himself. Wiseman's in Detroit. Kuminga's not playing. And all of a sudden you got to dust off Moses Moody, but God bless his soul, he's got to go out there and guard LeBron James.
But
that's not fair.
Here's what I don't understand about the Moody thing. Like, we were acting like, and there were times this year where he couldn't even sniff the floor for weeks at end, and then in the playoffs now he's trusted. Like, what I want to legitimately hear what the answer is there. Like, what did he do something in practice that all of a sudden inspired you to play him?
Right.
Like, what was it? Like, because we don't see practice, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't get it. As much as we want to, and look, the coaching staff, whether it's Steve Kerr, Kenny Atkinson, catch-all, whatever, however you want to determine, they deserve a ton of blame. I think some of the youngsters deserve some sort of the blame, whether it be attitude, demeanor, not doing the little things that are necessary that Moses Moody did in a lot of these playoff games, like rebounding and hustling and staying in front of your man. Those are what keep you on the floor, not just scoring. But it's not just that. To me, it's also the veterans. I thought the veterans' attitude toward the young players was really bad culture for a work environment. You need to, now I understand, you see some of them at times as a threat, and maybe, they're holding back our championship core. No. They are there to help provide you some level of a fountain of youth. Now, I understand that the players need to meet them halfway on some of these things. But if you are giving them an environment to where every little mistake that they make, you're going to chastise them and you don't want to play them, well, then look at your resume, bud, because all the veterans let this team down as much, if not more, than the rooks and the young guys.
Well, especially this season. When you look at the 0-5 road trip, we cited it. The veterans are on the floor at the end of the game against Orlando.
Exactly.
They're on the floor at the end of the game against Miami. They're on the floor at the end of the game against Charlotte when you lose in overtime. They're on the floor in the second half against Detroit with Sadiq Bey and Cade Cunningham lighting your ass up. I mean, the veterans, it felt like they tried to embrace the youngsters, but the divide came, I hate to say it felt like it came with the punch. And all of a sudden, the youngsters go in together, whether it's Moody, Kuminga, or Wiseman, and they're not playing well together. Why need some of those youngsters mixed in with the starters? Let Kuminga get a little sniff against
cross-pollinate
with Curry and Klay. Let Wiseman get a little sniff with Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole. Let Moses Moody play with some of the starters a little bit here. And the failure to develop them, the failure to let these lottery picks, because you were supposed to get them ready this regular season so they could be ready for a series against the LA Lakers.
Yes.
And the fact is, we saw Jonathan Kuminga with this size, athleticism, not get one crack at LeBron James.
See, now that was no. Not only that,
not one crack.
And in Game 6, now I understand. Maybe he did some stuff behind the scenes that whatever. You can't play him with Wiggins injured.
Not one crack.
You can't give him a look.
Not one crack.
And yet you're letting Klay get bodied by LeBron in the post. Like what? Come on.
Not one crack.
I don't know, man.
Not one crack. So
on a team that desperately needed a breath of athleticism.
So you could say we're speculating there. I don't think people are going to know the half of what went on with this Warriors team. It's actually, when I step back and look at where they finished up at, second round, Game 6 against the Lakers.
They overachieved.
It's actually remarkable that they made it to that point, considering everything that's happened this season. How many cultures, how many teams crumble, and don't even make the playoffs?
They needed a 50-point game in Game 7 from Steph Curry to keep their season going. They could have, I think, losing to the Lakers in 6. Now, I'm not to say that there's nobility in that, but had they lost in the first round to the Kings in that Game 7, I think the outrage would be even more cranked up.
It would have been.
I think it would have been even more cranked up. You lost in the first round?
Well, it would have been cranked up if we had a show right after Game 6. But we had a weekend off to kind of sit there and digest everything. And really, in a way, it's like a lot of people I felt like who worked with Dub Nation are like, you know what? Yeah, we lost. And it's not that they're not tripping.
It wasn't our
But
year.
it was a very exhausting season for a lot of people.
That I agree with.
There was how many people were happy this year during the 2-week period? How many people are, they had championship ability? That's why when we played the Curry sound, and he said, we maxed out. We weren't a championship team. Or Draymond Green says, we have championship players, but we weren't a championship team. See, I don't like that. And I don't subscribe to it.
Well, that to me, that's putting all the blame on the
youngsters.
And the bench. No, just
and
the bench. Just the bench. And to me, I'm like, wait a minute. Was Draymond Green championship caliber all year?
No.
Was Klay Thompson championship caliber all year?
No.
Wiggins, look, I know no one wants to talk about why he was gone. Forget why. He was gone
for 25 straight games.
Not
2
weeks.
Months. 2 months.
Okay?
2 months.
GP2 was injured on arrival.
There was 3 guys. I thought had a great season for the Warriors. It's Stephen Curry.
Yes.
Who played at an MVP level.
Agreed.
Kevon Looney.
Agreed.
Played his ass off. And for most of the year, it was Dante DiVincenzo.
I agree with you. But the final 3 weeks of the year, the playoffs, 3 or 4 weeks of the season, he wasn't good. Now, he was much better in Game 6 early on than he was in the weeks prior. But the guy who was in the regular, and I would like to retain Dante DiVincenzo. It feels like a pipe dream, but I'd like to retain him. But you're right, B. Everybody else
did not have, Klay Thompson did not have a great year.
Yes.
Had a solid year,
no,
not a great year.
He had a month.
Not a great year at all. Jordan Poole did not have a great year.
No.
Draymond Green did not have a great year. Steve Kerr.
Oh, no, not good.
Did not have a great year.
No.
This was his worst job.
Anthony Lamb and Ty Jerome played 100-something games and were averaging over 15 minutes a pop each in those games that they played. Like that, and then you don't get any significant minutes from either one of those guys. And then Andre Iguodala, this is another thing, because he's going to skate on this one. No. I'm here for this today. Andre Iguodala, we spent all year, Joe, you don't get, Iggy brings X, Y, and Z. No, Iggy should have been a coach. You wasted a roster spot on a guy who barely played the year prior after he got hurt and got subbed in the finals ceremoniously, which should have been, quote-unquote, the end of his career. Now, I don't knock the guy for getting another contract. I don't knock it. But shame on the Warriors for thinking he was going to have any impact on this season. Shame on them.
Well, also, I don't know if the optics look good when the guy's not playing and he's coaching people up. I just don't know how ballers react to that. But that's a conversation for another day. No, but that's a
wasted roster spot.
That's a conversation with another day.
Was it not?
It just did not work out.
Yeah.
It just didn't make any sense.
And look, he was a great warrior. He had an unbelievable career. All of those things are true. I appreciate everything he did for the organization. If we're talking about maximizing this year's team, they failed with that roster spot.
Sure did. Let's go to Coach Hall in San Diego. Coach Hall, what's happening?
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Hey.
Man, if I had to sum up this season in one word, it'd be mishandled. I think from start to finish. I didn't like the trip that we took overseas. course, the Draymond Jordan Poole thing. We just mishandled everything from
Yep.
youth. And I just couldn't help but look at those games. How many times was Looney, like, wide open, waiting to pass at the elbow? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, Looney, shoot it, man. Like, you got that stroke.
Right.
And us trading away Wiseman, I know Wiseman would have took that shot. It's just little things like that bother me all season. But honestly, man, I was emotionally exhausted watching this team this year and getting it from everybody down here in SoCal. So I'm not glad that it's over, but I'm kind of relieved in a sense. And I think there's only two options for us going into next season. Either we're going to have to run it back, everybody's going to have a come-to-Jesus moment, or we're going to have to either get rid of Draymond or package the young players for some role players. But I think our best option is to run it back because I don't see nobody doing us any favors.
So,
what you guys think?
Yeah, so does anybody want to run it back? Because I don't.
I do not.
I don't.
But Bonte, this is where
I don't think you can run it back.
But I think you have restraints because of the. It's like everyone wants to say, young guys, get me vets. All the young guys suck. Get me vets. Get me vets. Vets make more money. The good ones, like the solid vets, make more money than the rooks. Part of why you have young players, and I think this is so critical. They are so over the cap. The only way to get some impact on the dirt cheap and to try to get some value is you pray to God that one of these drafted guys can hit because now you have value. It's like in the NFL. What are we talking about? You draft a quarterback because it suppresses the contract of the quarterback because he's on a rookie scale, and then you can build around that guy. Well, when you have Klay Thompson making $40+ million and Ed Curry making 50 and Dre making 30 and Wiggins making 30 and now Jordan Poole's going to be making 30. You got to have some cheap value. The problem is they didn't give any of those guys opportunity to blossom and nurture, and now we're stuck with nothing.
And even JaMychal Green doesn't play much.
No.
You bring in that veteran who was supposed to be your Bielitsa or / Otto Porter Jr. Doesn't work out. Doesn't play much. Finally gets a sniff in game 2, balls out. Game 3 gets a quick hook. We don't see him the rest of the series. I mean, there's so many things happening here. I mean, the demise of Jordan. You know, Bully said this. We're watching the game. He goes, man, Bonte, Jordan Poole, what do you think happened? And I was just like, Bully, last year on this set, we were having pool parties. We were wearing sunscreen and wearing floaties.
3 guys were remember 3 guys on the road, Bonte? We're wearing like the swimsuit trunks and the goggles and the swimming outfits.
And we were playing this all the time.
Money time! Money time!
I don't even know if he'll be accepted by Dub Nation anymore. I don't even know if Dub Nation, like I just could not believe the play of Jordan Poole. I couldn't believe it. The ball handling, the defense with his hands down, even the Austin Reeves half-court shot when he just moved out the way.
He olayed.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Bonte, I was thinking about this. Like, I can't think of another player that this entire region has turned on after embracing so much and turned on. Is Jimmy G like?
It was on a Jimmy Garoppolo level,
right? When you agree, like Jordan Poole was someone like,
it was on a Colin Kaepernick level.
I can't envision a future without him. Now it's like I can't envision a future with him.
Well, especially if Draymond Green comes back. How the hell are they going to play? Come on, man!
Honestly, if you ask me today, I think both should be gone.